wonky. You got to kind of bring it really close to you more than you can. All right, your witness.
Thank you. First of all, tell me through your name.
Officer Jacob Stein.
Kind of loud.
Sorry. Officer Jacob Stein.
And back in February of 2023, you were employed as a patrolman with the St. Louis Police Department.
That is correct.
And in what capacity or what unit were you assigned to at that time?
I was assigned to the District 4 Downtown Bike Unit.
And did you receive a call on February 18th, 2023 to respond to accidents?
Yes, sir.
And the call kind of came out of somebody drove in the crowd or something to that effect?
I believe the CAD notes was the accident person struck, but I believe that's what was in the notes, that a car drove through a crowd.
And you and, I guess, Forney arrived at the same time, correct?
Yes, it was me, Officer Forney, and Sergeant Marks were in the same car when we arrived.
And when you got there, describe how you found the scene.
It was a chaotic scene. Fire department was already, fire truck was already there. Medics were tending to Miss Edmondson on the ground, along with her father and her mother. And there was already a crowd starting to gather around the scene.
Now, at some point, you and Marks, after having been there at the scene for a while, collaborated on the decision whether or not you were going to arrest somebody there at the scene. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And who were you collaborating with?
Sorry, could you repeat? I didn't hear you.
Who were you collaborating with during that conversation?
I believe Sergeant Marks.
Okay. And do you recall whether or not you
Rephrase.
discuss with him the condition of...
Let him finish the question. Go ahead.
Did you discuss the any condition that the driver of the Audi may have been in?
You may answer.
Yes, I did.
And what was that you discussed?
I believe that he was sober, that he wasn't drunk.
And you also stated that you thought he was probably out doing what?
Joyriding, speeding, driving recklessly.
All right. So at some point during your investigation there at the scene, did you find out the ownership of the Audi that had been left at the scene?
Yes, it was a rental vehicle.
And do you know whose name it was rented in?
I don't believe I personally looked it up, but I was later told that it was the defendant's mother that had rented the vehicle.
Okay. Now, at some point in time, you did talk with Mr. Riley, is that right?
That is correct.
You actually placed him under arrest?
Yes, I did.
And when you arrested him, I know that you guys said you found some stuff in his man bag that you thought was marijuana, right?
Yes, the defendant told me he had weed in his backpack, in his bag, and I told him it was legal at that time because of Missouri law had passed.
Did he smell like weed?
I could smell the weed. I don't know if it was from him or from the marijuana inside the bag.
Okay. Now, with regard to being there at the scene, you, after some time had elapsed and there was a lieutenant on the scene, again, the subject matter of the condition of Mr. Riley came up, is that right?
I believe so, yes.
And can you recall how many times you kept saying what his condition was?
I don't recall how many times. I do remember saying that he was sober, he wasn't drunk a few times.
And does the word sober as a cucumber come to mind?
I believe I did say that, yes.
Do you recall that there was some urgency to try and find a phone someplace left in the area where the medical care was being rendered to Janae?
I believe later on we were informed that there was a cell phone belonging to Janae's mom that was on scene. I recall us trying to look for it, but I don't recall anybody ever finding it.
That's all I have.
Is that Mr. Damon?
That's it. Yes.
Okay. Any cross?
Yes, Judge.
Good morning, Officer. Excuse me. Good morning, Officer Stein.
Good morning, sir.
When counsel asked you about, you were commenting that the defendant was sober, you meant he wasn't drunk, right?
That is correct.
You're not a trained drug recognition expert, right?
No,
Would you disagree with, you're not trained as a toxicologist, right?
that is correct.
Okay. You would agree, though, the defendant appeared confused at the scene, right?
He was more mellow, very calm, as if this was just a normal accident.
He didn't know where Janae had come from. He thought she came out of the Malibu.
I'm going to say that false speculation, but
Overruled, you can answer.
I don't recall exactly what he said, but he didn't recall where Janae came from, no.
He thought he'd stopped at the yield sign, right?
That is what he told me, yes.
He said that he was only going 15 to 20 miles an hour.
That is what he told me, yes.
We talked about one cell phone on direct, but he was also asking about cell phones in the car, right?
That is correct.
There was a cell phone ringing in the car, right?
I don't remember a cell phone ringing in the car, but I was asked about a cell phone that was still inside the Audi, yes.
Okay. And while Janae is getting life-saving traumatic care 50 feet away, he's asking repeatedly, can I get that cell phone out of the car? Can I get that cell phone out of the car?
He asked me several times if he could get a cell phone out of the car, yes.
Okay. The defendant stated he had blacked out and that maybe the car kept going fast because his foot slid on the accelerator after the collision, right?
I believe that was said.
Okay. And just to clarify, Officer Stein, you were assigned to the bike unit at the time this happened.
That is correct.
You're one of the initial responding officers to secure the scene, right?
That is correct.
You're not one of the investigators who prepared the accident reconstruction, right?
That is correct.
You didn't come to any opinions about the cause of the collision, right?
Just based on preliminary investigation, but the determination for the accident was accident reconstruction.
Right. You didn't operate the Leica scanner to do a 3D scan of the scene. That was a different officer, right?
Yes, sir.
It was a different officer who downloaded the airbag control modules, right?
That is correct.
It was a different officer who drew. It was a nurse who drew the blood. I mean, you would know who drew the blood of the defendant, right?
I wouldn't know who drew the blood, no.
Okay. You weren't the toxicologist who tested the blood, right?
No, sir.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Any redirect?
do you recall how damaged the front end of that Malibu was?
Outside scope, Judge.
It had a pretty significant amount of damage on the front end.
And again, did you come to any determination as to whether or not the Audi was T-boned by the Malibu?
Based on the amount of damage that was to the Audi from hitting the other car and being flipped over, couldn't exactly determine with certainty as to exactly how the collision happened.
Oh, thank you.
Any crossing?
No, Your Honor.
All right, Officer Stein, you're free to go.
Thanks,